You know Aesop's fables, but do you know the really good Indian fables? Today's book is the Pañcatantra. And what's great about this book is it's a even better version of what Aesop did. For me, I have kids, and I'm not going to read them Aesop's fables anytime soon. The thing about fables is they tend to be written by one person. And in the case of Aesop, they're mostly dark. I mean, some of the ones for kids are fine that are in kids' books, but it's not a book to be read to kids. It's about power. It's using cutesy animals, but it's deep, hard life lessons. It's not fairy tales that have been through a couple hundred people's tellings and have become a mirror of the human psyche. Fables are created by one person, and just like when one person writes fairy tales, it isn't the same thing as a fairy tale that went through a bunch of minds. So if you want really good fables, I recommend the Pañcatantra because the first version was found about 200 BC, but it's probably at least a couple hundred years older than that. What it is basically a pamphlet for court ministers written by some court minister. And it is all animals. It's all of these different animals, and they have their different traits. And like the Arabian Nights, as one animal starts to tell a story, they get to a stopping point, and they say, "Oh, and then what happened next?" And they might enter a new set of stories, like a new parentheses. And so there's a story within a story, and there's 3 of those stories, and within that story there's one more story, and there's 4 of them before it comes back to the original story and finishes off that series and back to the next, which is kind of good for your brain. And even though that all sounds like it can be pretty confusing, it's not really. It's just story after story about power, about corruption, about how to watch out for your enemies. It is more for someone who likes to read The Art of War than it is for someone who wants to see a bunch of cutesy animals doing fun stuff. That being said, it is very, very readable. Mine is more filled with notes than most books of this size, and it's a classic of India. And as Aleister Crowley said, India is where the wisdom is. And so if you want a really fascinating, easy read that is available online and is a pinnacle of world culture, I would recommend the Pañcatantra, and I really like this Oxford World's Classic Edition.